taken possession of a gun from Sean Mercer shortly after, half an hour after the shooting.
A huge breakthrough for the police, a first-hand account of Mercer handling a gun on the night of Rhys Jones's murder. But to get Boy X to give evidence against Mercer, the police and the Crown Prosecution Service took the almost unprecedented step of granting him immunity from prosecution for handling firearms.
It's very, very difficult to get people who are known to the gang to give evidence against them, because there's a fierce sense of loyalty, there's fear. The witness knows he'll have to go on the run onto a witness protection programme, probably for the rest of his life, and it's been drilled into him from an early age that he must not betray his mates.
As the net tightened around Mercer, Melanie tried to get back to normal life and return to work at the supermarket.
The first couple of shifts I'd done in work, because I work on the checkout, I think every customer in the shop wanted to come to my till, and a lot of the girls on the other tills were saying, come over to this till, and I think people just wanted to express, you know, how sorry they felt, and they were just queuing up to come to my till, and it was very emotional for me, and I got to get off my till quite a few times and go and compose myself and come back, and it was very difficult to go shopping, you know, if we wanted to go out the house and without people coming up to you and stopping you. And if nobody ever stopped us in the streets, if nobody ever sent a card through the post, you know, if nobody ever says, you know, what a lovely boy Rhys was, or I'm really sorry for your loss, or, you know, you'd think, what's up with people? What's going on? Doesn't anybody care?
Then, in April, came the news that Stephen and Melanie had been waiting for.
A 17-year-old youth has been charged with the murder of Rhys Jones on the 22nd of August 2007.
I would personally like to thank Stephen and Melanie Jones for their support and patience.
Dave came to us and he told us, Sean Mercer, it meant absolutely nothing to us. We thought, I don't know how I thought I was going to react, but it was just a name. It meant nothing to us. We don't know him.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. Just meant nothing. And I think I was a bit surprised that it meant nothing, because it was just a name.
Sean Mercer would now become much more than a name to Stephen and Melanie as they were confronted in court with the teenager accused of killing their son.
They were just slumped on the desk, and you know, they just weren't interested. They were just, it was just as if.
You think you were up for shoplifting?
I think it was just a big
not
laugh.
murder.
But Merseyside police had a problem. Boy M, who had told the police that Mercer had plotted the cover-up from his house, was not prepared to give evidence in court. The pressure was now on Boy M's mother. Would she tell the truth about her son and the gang in court?
I was aware from previous experience of murder trials that anything could happen.
Sean Mercer, a member of a Liverpool gang called the Crocky Crew, had been charged with murdering 11-year-old Rhys Jones. Alongside him in the dock were 6 other gang members accused of helping him with the cover-up. But it was far from an open and shut case. There was no forensic evidence incriminating Mercer, no witnesses to the shooting, and the alleged murder weapon would be challenged in court. The prosecution's case hinged on the bravery of local residents who were prepared to give evidence against a violent gang.
We didn't have an identifying witness, and so it became apparent that this was going to be a case where we were going to have to piece together as much evidence as we could gather to create a strong case, rather than just having one witness standing in a witness box saying, I saw Sean Mercer shoot Rhys Jones.
The loss of their son had devastated Rhys's parents, Stephen and Melanie. As the trial approached, they had to come to terms with facing the teenager accused of killing their son.
What about the first time you saw Sean Mercer?
He came in and sat down in front of us, didn't he? We thought he was just a bit of a kid, didn't we?
I was very surprised how young he looked.
Yeah, how young and how...
I just fell apart. I was just a total wreck.
Just
to think that he was just a few feet from where we were sitting. It's just... It was just horrendous.
What, how one child could do that to another
Yeah.
child?
But he didn't even acknowledge us. He didn't even look, did he, over at us?
In court, Mercer and his gang showed they still thought they were above the law. Boy M, a key figure in the case who had told police about the cover-up, refused to take the stand. And Mercer's legal team raised significant doubts about the gun which the prosecution claimed was used to shoot Rhys. Mercer and his acolytes' behaviour added to the distress for Stephen and Melanie.
The behaviour of them 7 in the dock was totally disgusting, disrespectful and hateful. They just laughed, made jokes, chatted amongst themselves.
I kept on thinking that, you know, we're better than them. You'd hate to think that that was your son or your child sitting in that dock and behaving the way that they were.
The prosecution's case against Mercer and his gang was built around the testimony of witnesses from the local community. But the Crown Prosecution Service was anxious that face-to-face with the gang in court, witnesses might change their evidence.
The fact that you have a statement from a witness saying one thing did not mean that that witness was necessarily going to stand up in the witness box and say exactly what was in their statement. I was aware from previous experience of murder trials that anything could happen.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
The pressure was particularly acute for Boy M's mum. Her son refused to take the stand even though he had told police during questioning that Mercer had planned the cover-up from his house. But it appeared that Stephen and Melanie's campaign for the parents of anyone involved in the crime to do the right thing had worked. Boy M's mother stuck to her account, even though she was incriminating her own flesh and blood.
Come on, come on, come on!
What's going on?
Whilst it put the mother's son in a position where he was helping the gunman, she was also trying to explain the reasons why, in her view, he had done that. So, to some extent, minimising his role in the events.
Come on!
Her evidence, coupled with that of Boy X, who told the court that Mercer had given him a gun after the shooting, was critical. The prosecution also highlighted Mercer's obsession with firearms. They showed the court these drawings. Mercer had made them whilst in police custody. It was a bizarre insight into his depraved mind. After 11 weeks in court, the jury was sent out to consider their verdicts.
A teenager has been found guilty of the murder of Rhys Jones. The 11-year-old was shot dead in Croxteth as he walked home from football
and Stephen
practice.
Jones were in the public gallery to see 18-year-old Sean Mercer found guilty of murder. They've been so composed and so dignified throughout this 9-week trial, but they sobbed and embraced as the verdicts were read out.
All my focus was on Sean Mercer. Once I heard the guilty for him, I didn't even hear the other 6 verdicts, because I just completely broke down, didn't I?
I think he came across as thinking that he's untouchable, is that, you know, nothing's going to stick on me. It's all just, you know, made up by the police, and, you know, I'm gonna waltz out of here because they're not going to convict me. But, you know, they did.
Sean Mercer, stand up.
The judge gave Mercer the maximum punishment, life imprisonment with a minimum tariff of 22 years. In his sentencing remarks, he described Mercer as a coward who gloried in gang culture.
Take him down.
He was determined that night to kill somebody. And that just shows what a callous, cold-blooded murderer he is.